Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Hundreds of Tasmanians living in the midst of the housing crisis could soon have a roof over their heads following a multi-million-dollar government announcement. The housing package, announced as part of Hobart's City Deal, will see more than 100 affordable houses built in the state's capital.
A long-awaited announcement by the federal government to address the state's housing crisis.
This is a very exciting announcement of $30 million by the federal government as part of the Greater Hobart City Deal.
The despair across Tasmania is widely felt, with 4,000 people on the waiting list for housing right now. In Hobart, the issue has been publicised extensively, with people sleeping in tents at the showgrounds and on the banks of the River Derwent.
They understand that the Greater Hobart area has a desperate need for more social housing. And they agreed to back it. This will buy or build more than 130 dwellings.
This announcement today is barely a drop in the ocean compared to what is required to make up for 6 years of inaction.
The package will filter to 4 different organisations who are working with some of the most vulnerable and disadvantaged members of our community.
The people who are going to benefit would really seriously be in housing stress at the moment.
Catholic Care is one of those organisations and is receiving $8 million. The organisation already had plans to build on this site at Chigwell and others at Claremont and Glenorchy.
We'll house, just in our portfolio, over 100 needy clients, vulnerable Tasmanians.
Quickly as a deed can be signed between the Commonwealth and the service providers, the money should flow.
But the announcement is raising the ire of the federal opposition.
Tasmanians are going to ask why, a month before an election is due, that this announcement has suddenly come.
My view with these things is it's always better to take a few days more and get it right than try to rush a decision for the sake of a cheap headline.
The Hobart City Deal will officially be signed on Sunday. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
Independent MP Andrew Wilkie is calling for fuel prices in Tasmania to be reduced immediately. It comes after a recent report revealed we're paying some of the highest prices in the country, leaving locals reeling over being ripped off.
Prices at the state's bowsers once again under scrutiny. A recent report from the ACCC revealing Tasmanian motorists are paying an average of around 17 cents more per litre on fuel than mainland drivers.
The fact that Tasmanians are paying markedly more for fuels than they are on the mainland is obviously very hurtful for Tasmanians, particularly people on lower incomes, disadvantaged people.
The wife has to put petrol in her car and it fluctuates from time to time, and one day it's cheap, next day it's dear, so that's the worry for me, the inconsistency of the prices.
With prices in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane recently dropping to an 18th-month low, Tasmanian drivers remain frustrated.
Like, as a consumer of petrol, I mean, is that a worry for you?
A bit, especially being a student. I don't have a lot of money to spare anyway, but I guess it's just kind of a result of the system that we've got.
Annoyed. Yeah, not good, because I always have to drive up north a lot, so yeah, very expensive.
A royal commission into the state's fuel prices has been proposed by Tasmanian National Senator Steve Martin.
We in the community have to seek out the fuel retailers that are charging less and support them. And by supporting the retailers that charge less, who are less greedy, that will force the price of fuels down across the state.
Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
A picture has emerged online of 2 cruise ships docked in Hobart emitting smoke. The Environment Protection Authority says it's not aware of this specific incident, but conducts ongoing monitoring of air quality in Hobart. A monitoring station was put in at the Hobart port following public concerns about cruise ship emissions. This year's hemp crop is looking like one of the best growers have seen in years, with weather conditions helping the plant flourish. Across the state, harvesting has just started, with thousands of hectares still to go.
This is industrial hemp. It's not marijuana, and if smoked, won't result in a high. But these farmers are just as excited. Last year, around 450 hectares were grown here in Tasmania, with this season looking even better.
This year we've got 1,300 hectares. It is 53% of the Australian production.
I think that Tasmania is at the forefront of becoming the hemp state of Australia for quality and volume.
And harvesting has just started getting underway.
It's been an exceptional season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the yields are.
Those involved in the industry joined together today in Deloraine, sharing their experiences and checking out the latest varieties. In these paddocks, 12 new types of hemp are being trialled to see how they grow in Tasmanian soil, and so far, so good.
We had good rain when the crops were being established, so I think a few things have fallen into place to be able to create that potential.
Last year, Red Agriculture had the goal of growing more than 1,000 hectares, but came up short, saying there's still a level of hesitation about the crop from some growers. They're hoping, though, that this year's bumper crop will help ease those doubts.
They're just waiting to see how it's going to fit into their rotation. They're just unsure and uncomfortable, but moving forward, I think they're going to be very comfortable.
Jessica Moran, 7 Tasmania News.
Shoppers have had a sneak peek at the fashions hitting the field at this year's Launceston Cup. The catwalk was rolled out over Brisbane Street Mall as models showed off this year's styles and colours. But the advice from organisers is to dress comfortably, especially when it comes to shoes.
You're seeing ladies now leaving in thongs rather than just walking out bare feet, because it just tells on your face if you're hurting and if you've got blisters.
Fashion for Fillies kicks off this Sunday at Oaks Day, followed by the Launceston Cup on Wednesday. A Tasmanian woman who survived a terrifying shark attack last year has finally returned to work. Burnie's Justine Barwick suffered severe injuries after she was mauled by a tiger shark while holidaying at Syd Harbour in Queensland 5 months ago. Today she was smiling at her first day back at family-based care. She will now have to undergo regular physiotherapy and has been left with lifelong disabilities. In a statement, she thanked the community for their support. Some of the nation's best wines and ciders have been put to the taste test by a team of Tasmanian experts. The top drops of around 180 varieties set to be on display at an upcoming festival celebrating the state's thriving industry.
Putting the senses to the test. A panel of expert judges, today sniffing and swirling their way through a delicacy of Australian tipples.
Show people that there's a lot more to having a good time than just drinking a standard wine or a beer. You've got lots of other very interesting alternatives.
Alternatives such as these local and imported ciders.
I think it's fun. It's a growing category. The sky's the limit with the potential of the different flavours.
And Tasmania is leading the way.
Really, really strong. Willie Smiths have just won, best in show at the Australian Cider Awards last year. But all the producers are really doing well.
The Tasmanian brands have always held up very well, and in both the fruit wine area and the ciders, but
the state's diverse fruit wine brands also at the forefront of the industry.
Tasmania produces very good quality fruit wines as well as grape wines, and we have a deserved reputation for quality.
These judges have spent hours tasting over 180 varieties of wine and cider, with the best to be revealed at the festival in Bellerive.
You come along and enjoy yourself tasting the products after you've purchased a flute.
You can try the top drops at the Bellerive Boardwalk on March 3rd. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
They're loud enough to turn heads, and that's just the way Mustang drivers like it. This week, nearly 40 of the polished machines are eating up the highway as the National Club devoted to the cars hits Tasmania.
Flexing a little muscle under the bonnet. Spanning decades and designs, making a Mustang truly yours is an art of its own.
I guess the great thing about a Mustang, it is a blank canvas when you buy it, and you modify it to make it your own.
It's a passion. A lot of people buy one and then they go, oh, I need another one. And yeah, it's just a passion.
The national club devoted to the automobile is mustering in Tasmania. Nearly 40 cars are conquering the island over 4 days. For Hobart's David Ross, there's no match for his 2016 GT Fastback.
How would this compare to my Toyota Yaris?
I don't know how to compare it to your Toyota Yaris, Sean. I really don't. Fuel economy, but yeah, I guess you get some looks, but slightly different ones than we do.
Then there's this 250 horsepower museum. Tony Borg is more than happy to show off his 1966 GT Coupe. It's impressive both inside and out. Just don't ask how much he's spent on it.
I've got a file at home 2.5 inches thick with invoices. I've never added it up. wouldn't know what it's worth now.
Why haven't you added it up?
Because I'd be pretty worried about my wife knowing, put it that way.
Money worth burning for a love affair on wheels. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The stage is set for one of the most hotly contested Tiger Bowls in Hobart this weekend, Tasmania's own version of the Super Bowl, with local club the Knights set to compete in their 5th straight decider as they look to bring home the silverware for the 3rd time, while Northwest base club the Raiders will be out to provide the upset in their first Tiger Bowl appearance.
The whole message to the team this week has been, let's do what we do well, let's come out focused, let's fire off, let's show them that we belong undefeated.
The match begins at Rugby Park in Newtown at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Well, it's one of Tasmania's most iconic bowls clubs with a rich history and a very colourful membership base. And today the Beltana's Bowls Club celebrated a very special milestone as one of its members prepares for an even bigger one. Cecil Morgan, or Snowy as he's known to everyone around here, has a long-running connection with his local club for one very simple reason.
Well, I built it.
It's been 50 years since he did so, with 5 decades worth of memories today celebrated by the Beltana Bowls Club's tight-knit members. And having retired from the sport a few years back, the occasion gave Snowy a chance to recall how effective his trash talk on the turf once was.
Where I put my bowl, they had to get near it, sort of thing. As I used to tell them in no uncertain terms, you know, now that's where I put it, deliberate.
And with the old roller set to turn 100 next month, he was honoured for his efforts in helping to make the place what it is today, with Governor Kate Warner then joining the club's oldest member for a quick roll.
Anybody who's about to turn 100 years of age is doing well, and he's on his own, only with a walking stick, so to me that's fantastic.
Comes in every Friday night and sits at the bar and has a drink and everybody has a chat to him. No, he's just marvellous. I hope I can be that good when I turn 100.
The club now hoping that the next generation of members can provide another 50 years worth of memories just as good as the last. And with Snowy's real age now out in the open, he says it might finally be time to stop lying about it to his fellow members.
Some of them believed it, yes.
You tell people you're only 80?
I did.
Good evening. The sunniest weather over the central north today as Launceston warmed up to 27 degrees, Hobart and Devonport recorded 22 and Burnie 23. Partly cloudy conditions prevailed over most of the state. Ouse, Friendly Beaches and St Helens all 23, Low Head and Grove 21, Flinders Island and Lyoweeney 20 and King Island 18 degrees. So as mentioned, the cloud today across the west, south and east of the island being of the low convective variety. Looking at the big picture, and the eyes are drawn to the tropical cyclone over the Coral Sea. We have cloud with a cold front to our southwest with another off Western Australia. A high over southern areas brought cloud to the eastern seaboard. Tomorrow, tropical cyclone Omar still off the coast with troughs over the far north and west. A high to our south will strengthen, pushing a ridge northwards. South to southwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots, tending southeasterly during the day, and more easterly over Bass Strait with light winds inland. Hobart, an early shower clearing, a top of 19 degrees. Medina, an early shower as well, 22 the high and a top of 20 for Oatlands with cloud clearing. Launceston, fine and sunny, 26, 23 the top for Devonport, mostly sunny for Lyoweeney and 20 degrees. Burnie sunny and 22, sunny also for Strawn, 21 and 23 for Marrawar, terrific over the west, and for St Helens, bit of cloud, 19 also for Swansea and Orford. UV, 8 for Hobart and 9 elsewhere, all very high. On Sunday, a fine sunny day statewide with light winds, Hobart and Launceston 26, Hobart expecting 30 degrees on Monday with clear weather over the south, partly cloudy northwards, and on Tuesday showers developing over the west and south during the day and later for the rest of the state. 28. Partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow, sunny and 34 in Adelaide, fine in Melbourne and Canberra, a shower for Sydney and 24 and a windy 29 in Brisbane. Mostly sunny and 21 in Hobart at the moment, 23 in Launceston, 21 right now in Devonport. Joe, better remind you that bowls is also a young person's game, and those of us who are 40-something are a bit incensed with those comments before the break.
40-something, you think? Righto. That's all from the news team for now. He's not 40 anything. I will see you a little later with updates. Good night.